everyone, this is Lindsay Marquez, and today I'll be going over Author in a Sentence, a documentation mission. In this video, we'll go over when is the author placed in a sentence, the most common ways to place authors in text, an example of an author in the sentence from my paper, and at the very end, we'll sum it up. Let's get started. So you may be asking yourself already, when is the author placed in the sentence? Well, the author is placed in the sentence when you want to include material that you retrieved from researching a source, but you do not intend to use it word for word. So this is more referring to if you are paraphrasing something or summarizing it. You need to make sure that you're giving the author credit. One way to achieve proper documentation is to use the author's name in the writing. So in your signal phrase, you may say, Mr. Brown wrote this, or in a recent study, those kinds of things. You want to hint that these are not your own ideas. At the end of the summary or paraphrase, you need to include the page number where you extracted the information. The page number should be put in parentheses. If the information came from an electronic print source that does not have page numbers, then you can put the author's last name in the parentheses. So you're still giving the author or the source credit by putting these parenthetical citations. You will add the entire source information on your works cited page at the end of the paper. And I feel as if this is one of the most important things because you are citing that you used this resource to help you in the formulation of any of your thoughts or arguments. So, next I'm going to go over the 3 most common ways to place authors in the text. You could do a directly mention author, so that's some of the things that I just mentioned in Mr. Brown's essay, in Wilbur's study, in a book by Gabriella, those types of things. You could use an in-text citation. Now, there are a few types of in-text citations that you could do. For a book, you could do the page number in parentheses. Now, if you do the page number, you have to mention the author somewhere in your paragraph or right before your quote or paraphrase. Now, if you do not mention the author and mention perhaps the article or just come right out with the idea, you'll put the last name and the page number of the source. Now, you may be asking, what do I do for an online source? That's a great question. Since there are no pages on online sources, you just parenthetically cite the author's last name. Let's look at an example from my research paper. You'll see right at the top there's a direct reference from the author of this source. This also acts as a signal phrase. If you would like to learn more on signal phrases, you could check out my other video. I think that I have one specifically on signal phrases, and I believe that this example is actually in there. Now, you'll see that there's a direct reference to the author and to the source. This looks like it's an article. You'll see at the bottom, the very end, there's a parenthetical citation with the author's last name, and that confirms that it is an article that is found online or does not have page numbers. Because if the article was to have page numbers, the page number is required in the parenthetical citation. So, to sum up authors in a sentence, authors are directly mentioned in the text and followed with a citation. We went over specifically how to do this with books and online sources. There are many other ways to find this in your resource guides or perhaps even Purdue OWL. Any ideas that are not yours need to be giving the author credit for their work. So if you write something directly derived from one of your sources, it's very important to put that parenthetical citation so it's not mistaken as plagiarism. Books are cited with last name and page number, and online sources are cited with the author's last name. Now, we went over specifically if you mention the article or the author, sometimes the last name's not put in the citation, and all those other things to take into consideration. Always double check your work before turning it in, and happy writing!